Good morning. Good morning, Joyce, out in a very warm Mesa, Arizona. And Kim, so glad you made it. It's gloomy in Atlanta. I'm sorry to hear that. Kathy, hi from Divine, Texas. And we are having a decent morning here. The sun is shining. The temperature's cooled off a little bit, but it's going to warm up during the day. You have clouds in Arizona. That doesn't happen often, I know. Linda from Macomb, Michigan, welcome. I love Michiganders when they join us because that's where I live. Debbie is here from Glendale, Arizona. Hi, Debbie. Good to see you. I hope you got the email I sent you earlier. This morning, I've got quite a bit of stuff to do that I want to show you. Ruth Ellen, good morning. Northern Virginia and rain today. Wow. JJ Drones. Well, good morning, Jason. It's so good to see you. Jenny is here from the UK. Sharon's here from Dover, Delaware. And Debbie did get my email. I appreciate it so much. Patsy from New Mexico, welcome, welcome. Oh, JJ Drones is a friend of mine from town here, and he is having coffee with us from California this morning. That's a long way from home, Jason, but it's awfully good to see you. So I've got a lot planned. So let's go ahead and get started as soon as I say good morning to Christina from Admire, Kansas. What a beautiful name, Admire. Oh, that's an awesome name for a city. And Di is here from Southern California. Hi, Di. So good to see you. So this morning we are going to talk about our curly cues. And we have two sets of curly cues. And I did get both set because there is so much you can do with them. Susie, good morning. Good to see you again. And Robert from Northeast Ohio. Awesome to see you here again as well. So what I'm going to show you first is how these all look. Now they're going to look very similar. The only difference is going to be one set gives us a full array of odd size templates. The other one gives us a full array of even side templates. So here we go. I'm going to show them all to you. Good morning, Joanne Sphere from Iowa. Okay, can't wait to see my ideas, huh? Well, I hope I bring you something new and different. So here is a 1.5 size as opposed to an 11.5 size. So you could see the ultimate difference here. They are huge and they are small and they go into so many different things. And we're going to cover the markings on them this morning. And I've got just a couple of things planned. Now, the one thing I love about the curly cues is we can stick these into a different rotation of, say, the Plumera flower that we did last night. We can stick these in the center and it just adds that element of not just surprise, but really finishing the template off. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to put the paper aside and I'm going look at these lines, guys. Is that hilarious or what? Wendy's here. Good morning. Jenny, yes, you really do need to get this set. I'm a firm believer that. Janice is here as well. Good morning. And Mariella, hi from Delaware. We've got 2 people from Dover, Delaware in here. Oh my gosh, I don't think that's ever happened before. Now remember, I do not have someone moderating questions for me this morning, so I promise I will do my best to make sure that I get to them, okay? So the first thing that I wanna do is I wanna show you just a basic way to use the curly cues as a spinifex, and that's how they were originally intended. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna pick one arbitrarily, no rhyme or reason. I'm just going to pick an 8.5 inch, and I'm gonna go ahead and go on reference line number 1. Now, one of the things that I think is really, really important with these Spinifex templates is to make sure to put stable tape on both sides. We're gonna be flipping these templates a lot. And so, do you ever use the spiral crosshairs? Di asked if I ever use the spiral crosshairs. Di, yes. I have used them. I did not pull them out for this morning, though. I'm sorry. If you want to have me do a class on spirals, I would be happy to do that. Okay, just if you could email me to remind me, that would be great. I have a good memory, but it's extremely short. Very short. Christina's here. Hi, Christina. Good to see you. And Jan made it from Southeast Nebraska. Less humidity, but she wants us all to send some rain to her. Okay. I wish I could, but we need rain here too. Okay. So let's pretend that this is line number 1. Remember, we've got 16 rotations here. I don't know if I'm going to use all 16, to be honest with you, but it's really nice to have them available if I need them. Now, the markings. This marking will line up with each one of your rotational markings or your reference lines. So the first thing I'm going to do is find a nice open spot. I'm going to make sure my foot height is good. And the way I can do that is by making sure I can move in all directions quite freely, but I still want my foot to just be kissing the top of that fabric. If the foot is up and off the fabric, what's going to happen is we're going to end up with skipped stitches. And there's nothing worse than that, trying to go back and fix them. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw my bobbin thread up right in the center for this particular design we're going to make. All right, so down we go. We have set it. Now, the nice thing about our Spinifex, and we talked about this last night as well, is when we have a Spinifex, we are making a lot of stitches in that center point. And when we make a lot of stitches in the center point, we can cut off our tails because it's going to be locked in sheerly because of the number of stitches that are in there. Patsy, hi. You got kicked off last night. I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm glad you made it here this morning. That is awesome. So after I pulled that bobbin thread up, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line my vertical center line, and I'm going to pull back here so you can see the entire template. I want you to see the whole thing. So you'll see I've got a vertical center line that starts back here. Whoops, now you can see it right back here. And then it comes up to the top. And I am going to take my first stitch in place. And most of you know why I do that is to prevent toe catchers because I'm good at producing toe catchers. It's so good to be good at something, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around. I am going to go all the way to my vertical center line. Now I'm going to go all the way back. Now, do you have to get to that vertical center line? Not necessarily. I'm doing it because the design that I'm going to show you, whoops, I just got off my template there, is, um, is dependent on me getting there, okay? So this is what we call traveling, and as long as you don't move that template, you will be fine. And remember, when we're stitching, don't push your foot against the template and don't push your template against the foot. What we're doing is we're doing guided free motion stitching. And if we just make sure that we just right along the edge of the template, we're gonna do fine. JJ Jones said he has to has to run. Oh, Jason, thank you so much. You are so sweet. I really appreciate it. I hope we get to catch up soon when you're in town, okay? Thanks for joining us. Yeah, Patsy does happen sometimes. Unfortunately, our internets are not always infallible. It'd be nice if they were. So now what I've done is I've just literally taken my template off here and I have flipped it over and I am again lining it up on that vertical center line. And I have a bad habit, guys, of holding things in my hands when I'm stitching. That's probably not a good habit to have. So I'm going to try and remind myself not to do that. Okay, so now we're going to head up and we have flipped our template. Now, all things being equal, this should line up perfectly, and it does. And I'm going to again go around until I hit that center, vertical center line, and I'm going to come back. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go all the way back to the center. And yes, I did slow down around there because I wanted to make sure that I kept my stitches smaller because it is a circle. And I would also keep my stitches smaller with curly cues because we have these beautiful flowing arcs. Okay, so there we've got the first one in this particular design. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a smaller size. Okay, and I am going to use 8 rotations for this. So this will be my number 1, and then I'm gonna go this way to number 2. I was gonna go in the wrong direction, I'm sorry. Okay, get that out of the way, and I'm going to repeat. Make sure that I'm right in the center. Make sure that okay, good question. Okay. Well, hello, Miss Emily. Emily is here, and if you notice, she's saying, "Good morning, Graham." That's because she's my granddaughter. It's so good to see you, sweetheart. I love you, baby girl. Okay, Sandy's waiting for her PT appointment. Well, I'm glad you get to watch while you wait from Florida. Thank you for joining us. Joan is here. She's a first timer and already learning. Intimidating, but going to try it. Joan, don't worry about being intimidated. Now, what we tell people a lot is to do it on paper first with your stitching line discs. If you have any problems at all or any questions, Joan, there's a whole bunch of us educators always happy and willing to help out. So if you go on sewsteady.com, under the Education tab, there will be a category called Instructors. If you would like me to walk you through anything, all of my contact information is there. Please don't be afraid to use it. And I offer that to everybody. Marsha's here from North Carolina. Suzanne loves the curly cues. So do I, Suzanne. They're one of my favorites. Um, Linda asks, and this is a really good question. Is this one of those templates where you have to hug the left or the right side of the channel? You actually have to hug this side of the channel, and it'll be left or right depending on which way that you're placing it onto your foot. Okay. But if you come on this side, what's going to happen is you're going to fall out. Okay, because this is the big channel. Now, I don't know if the new curly cues have just the needle channel or if they have the big channel like this. If they have just a needle channel, you could you could definitely hug the other side. Okay, I hope that helps, Linda. Pam is here from Maine. Good morning. Okay, good. Thank you, Linda. I'm glad that I was able to answer your question. And Joan, you're quite welcome. You know, it's what we do. We love teaching rulers and templates. And if you ask my husband, he will tell me, yes, the housework suffers, and he has to vacuum if he wants the floors clean. Oh, but it is so worth it, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come with a smaller template and I am going to repeat what I did on line number 1. Again, going right to that center vertical line. And we're going to come back and we are going to travel to the bottom. You'll see I got off a little bit. I do that when I divert my eyes. And when I'm with you all on the Tuesday evenings, Wednesday mornings, I am diverting my eyes a lot because I'm watching for comments. I'm watching the time, and this will show what carelessness will do or taking your eyes off of the prize, so to speak. Okay, so now we're going to come out. I've flipped my template over. And as long as I keep that template lined up on that vertical center line, what you see is we are going to again make a perfect circle up here. And now we're going to come back to the center. And I am going to pull these center lines up or these center threads up, and I'm going to whack them off. One thing I want you to notice, at no point did I take my hands off of my template. And that is so important because as soon as you do, it's likely to move. I'm not going to say it's definitely going to move, but it is very likely to move. Okay, so now I have the second one done. And I'm going to come here and go back to the first size. So this is an 8.5 inch and this is a 6.5 inch. And we're going to put one more 8.5 inch in. And what this does, I think, is it just steps the design up one notch. And it also allows a great opportunity for template. It's probably one of my favorite ways to template because what I do is I would come in and I template here in the little football region and I template here at the dot. Okay, again, we're going to flip that template. We're going to make sure we're lined up again. that is the most critical part of this particular design, is making sure that you're lined up on that vertical center both times. And there we go. I'm going to go all the way to the center and then come back out. You notice how I slow up there? It's so much easier to slow up a little bit. And you could tell I'm off a little bit here. Am I going to worry about that? Probably not. Probably not. I'm not perfect, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to the center, and you could do this all the way around. Now, what's cool about this is if you have a block that you want to do, okay, what you can do is move the longer design on the diagonal and the shorter design on the horizontal and vertical. And that's going to make your design fit beautifully into a block. Okay, so let's take a look next at what it looks like if we just do it the way it's intended to be done. Okay, and I'll go ahead and start right here. Oh, I get back to my center. There we go. I was off center a little, but that's not unusual. I've heard that a lot of people say about me that I'm a bubble off center. I'm fine with it. Remember, smaller stitches. Make sure that you keep both hands on the template. Don't take your hands off the template until the needle is in the down position. If you have a machine with a needle up, needle down function, this is a great place to use it. I'm stitching on a Singer 301, which is a straight stitch machine. It's a vintage machine from the 50s. And all it does is stitch straight forward and straight backwards. So anything else I wanted to do, I have to do myself. I am my own stitch regulator. At one point, I did have a machine with the stitch regulator on it. Personally, I found it more difficult to use because I like hearing the rhythm of my machine. Okay, Joan asks, what are the squares on the template? Grippers, and yes, they are. These are what we call stable tape. And stable tape now, this is the way it always used to come, and you still might get, templates with the tape, what they've got left. But now what we're doing is stable dots. So they're a lot easier to use in the fact that they're just that size, and they take and they cover up less of the registration lines that we have here. Now, I did this particular stable tape kind of early on when I thought I needed a whole lot. The truth is, you don't need anywhere near as much as I put on here. Okay? That's plenty right there. So I've basically used 2 pieces of stable tape where I only needed 1. And this does need to be replaced every now and again because it's kind of got a poofiness to it. That's just a technical term I made up. And after the template gets used a lot, the stable tape will compress and you will want to go ahead and replace it. So really, this is as big as you need them to be. Okay? I hope that answers your question. If not, please let me know, Joan. Okay, I'm back on my foot. Take that one stitch in place. Remember, we want these stitches to be a little on the smaller side. Okay. Now, for some reason, and I know the reason, okay, I got some really bad batting, and I'm trying to use it up on these projects. What it is one half of the batting is like a single layer of 80/20. The other portion of it, look how thick it gets. That is insane. So this is the thickness on one side of my block, my square, and this is the thickness on the other. It's really noticeable, isn't it? So what happens when I cross that line where it goes from the shorter thickness to the longer thickness, my foot starts doing what we call snow plowing. And if you live up in the north like we do, we know exactly what we're talking about when we say snow plowing, because as the plow comes through the snow, it builds in front of it. And that is exactly what my foot is doing here. So I need to stop, loosen my foot, let it fall back down onto the top of the fabric, and then I'm going to tighten it again. Okay, that should eliminate the snow plowing, and it does. It also makes it so much easier to glide the template or glide the foot, I'm sorry, against the top of the fabric and make another great rotation without getting little bumps in here or folds. Have I ever done that? Yeah, I have. I will be honest with you, that has happened. Anything that can go wrong probably has in my ruler quilting career. Fortunately, most of this happens when you folks aren't around, and that's always a good thing. So here's um, just a very regular curly Q. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in, and this is a 6.5 inch here. I'm going to put a 4.5 inch here, and I'm going to put it in the opposite direction. I'm going to come out, and we travel on every rotation of the curly cues. And I'm going to stop here. I'm going to flip my template, and I'm going on the next line this time. Okay, I'm not going on the same line. I'm going to go on the next one. Oops. And try and keep these a little separate here. And again, this is the 4.5. And you'll see it makes a nice little crossover when you're using 16 reference lines. And in we go. What I love about this particular design is it reminds me of an open heart. And there we go. Isn't that adorable? I absolutely love this. I love these templates. A little bit of caffeine there. You know, there is one thing that I've never done, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do it with you guys. And we're going to see if this works, and if it does, how well it works. And I'm going to get a clean crosshair. These are just basics. These are really basics. I love doing this with 16 rotations all the way around. It really looks like a string of hearts coming around. Okay, so what I've never done is I've never stitched from here out to here. So I'm going to try that. Let's see what that's going to work, how that's going to work. Okay, up we go. We're going to grab that. And we're going to make sure that we've got that bobbin thread pulled in the center. I'm lining up my vertical center lines. Remember, I'm not going to go over on this part of the curly Q, okay? I'm just making this beautiful angled, curvy spot. And this is gonna bring me right back into the center, okay? Right here. And you can see where, I got some skipped stitches there, and the reason I got them is my foot is too high because now we're back on the low part of the oh, goodness. I'm going to flip my template, put it actually, I'm going to reset my foot. There we go. Now I'm going to put my template back in, and again, I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. When I'm practicing, I don't bury my threads. Now, if you want to make sure you're in exactly the right spot, let's use our spacing gauge. There we go. And now I'm going to come back to center. I'm also anxious to show you the difference in the stitch integrity. Okay, let's do this one more time. And I think we'll do it on the, should we do it on 16 line reference lines or 8? Let's go ahead and do it on 8. Okay, so this time I'm coming on the inside, and that beautiful gentle curve is so nice. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my template, and I do all this flipping of fabric because it's easier for you all to see. When I'm working on a real project, not that this isn't real, it is, but when I'm working on a project, I don't flip my fabric this often. What will be to your benefit is to learn how to do the rotations at any angle, because if you're working on a quilt, which I have done several quilts on this little tiny machine. Now, this is not a big machine. That's the throat on it. It is small. And I can still do a full-size quilt. I actually did a queen-size quilt once on this. It wasn't easy, I'm not gonna say it was, but you can do those on a small machine, but you don't wanna have to be turning that whole quilt around for each rotation. It gets very difficult. You know what, guys? I really like this. Now, I'm going to pull you in because this is an important thing for you to see. First off, the design is cool. I do like it. And what we could do with this is use our 4-inch arc, bring these together, and then we could do cross hatching in this area. We could, oh, there's a lot we can do. What else we can do? Okay, let me find it. Okay, there's the 4. I want the 2. Where did my 2-inch go? There it is. Okay, so now what I could do is I could come in here and come right up from where these 2 rotations cross over each other, right there, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and put that down, and I'm going to line my template up, the vertical line, and now I am going to my needle down, and watch this. I think this is gonna be so cute. And we're gonna come back down to where the 2 meet. Perfect. And I'm gonna turn it around so you can see it. And we're gonna realign it. And up we go, remembering to take our time. And there we go. Is that cute or what? Looks like bunny ears. But this is just one thing you could do, okay? What I probably would do with it, because this is kinda heavy, the stitching here. So what I might do is just come up, stop, flip my template, then come back down. And what I mean by that is I'm gonna show you, okay? We're gonna put one more of these rotations in, and we're going to come to the center of our block yet again, or across here. Okay, up we go. I do like to keep my thread underneath my template. I find it's easier to hang on to there. Okay, going to get that out of the way. And again, I'm lining up. And we're getting some pretty awesome secondary designs in here, which is always a lot of fun. And you'll see how I take it out and I flip it before I go back to center. And that's exactly what I'm talking about with this little tiny one over here. I think it will look better, and we're going to try it to make sure we know. And back to center. Now, I would break thread here. Would I need to? No, I easily could travel along this portion until I hit this, that spot where the 2 meet. And what I did was I think I took the wrong size, but that's okay. You'll get the idea. All right. So I want my little one back. Again, I'm going to go ahead and pull my bobbin thread up where those two cross over. There we go. Come on. Oh my goodness, you're being like one of my children. You're not listening to me. I know you guys don't have that problem. Your children are very well behaved, I'm sure. Okay, come on. There we go. So now I'm going to put my needle back down in that position where the 2 there, where the 2 cross. Okay, I'm going to line myself up, and just like I did here, I'm going to stitch to the center line right there. And rather than stitch that twice, I'm gonna come in here, take my template out, turn it over this way. Yep. Nope, turn it over. I didn't have it turned over. Okay, turn it over there, lining my vertical lines up and coming back to center. Not the center of the template, to where we started, the center of where we started, which is going to be right there. Now, that is also, I think, a great different way to use the templates. Hi, Aaron's popping in late from Ohio. Aaron, better late than never. I really appreciate it. Linda just joined us from the United Arab Emirates, and I know you've been here before, Linda. So nice to see you. Welcome. Susie said that looks like music notes. And you're right. It can look like music notes. Patsy thought about bunny ears. Okay, so now what I wanna do is I wanna come back to what I started earlier but squirreled off of because I do squirrel a lot, and whether you realize it or not, there's actually a National Squirrel Day. Yes, there is, and it just happens to fall on my birthday, so I guess I come by the squirreling quite honestly. Okay, so right here, what I want you to notice is I have a lot of skipped stitches in here. Okay. Remember when I raised my foot because of this thick batting over here? Well, I moved over here, or I guess it was over on this side. I moved over here to where the thin batting is, but I did not adjust my foot, the height of my foot. And this is what resulted by not adjusting the height of my foot until I got to the top right here. And when I got to that top, I adjusted my foot and came back down, and you'll see my stitches again turned out beautifully. Okay, if you hang on just 1 second, please. Hey, I apologize that. Now what I want to do, I want you to look at this. And what I've done here is I've lined myself up for a border, and I want to extend that center out. Whoops. Okay, I got through last night without dropping anything, but I didn't make it through today. I apologize. And because we're going to be using little smaller templates, I am going to pull these lines down as well. Okay, and there we go. And make sure that we keep them going at the same trajectory because if we don't, it's going to look a little goofy. And I'm goofy enough without making things look goofier than they already are. So what I need on this one, let's go ahead and take our odd numbered ones out. Look at how tiny that 1.5 inch is. I have used it. Not a lot though. I'm gonna be honest with you, not a lot. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take out a 3.5 inch. I'm going to take out, where did my other ones go? Hmm. Oh, there, maybe that's a 4.5 inch. And I'm going to take out, I think I'm going to take out the 4 and 6.5, and that's this one right here. Okay. Now you can make this in any size you want. Okay. Hi, Jean. Jean is here from New York and Randy from Oklahoma. Awesome. Great to have you here with us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little border treatment, and I'm measuring to make sure that my templates don't cross over where the template rotation before is going to be, and this is not going to cross over. And you can see that because this one will be on the second line here, and this one will be on the first line. So we've got plenty of room. There's a couple ways of doing this. Okay. The first thing I can do, I'm gonna flip this around so you can see. And I'm going to put this right here. Up we go. Get my threads underneath. And I am going to stitch this in an outward direction. And what I mean by that is that my curly Q is going out from the center portion. Coming back in and stopping at my center. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to do the other side with the with the center pointing out. And we're going to come back in. In we go. I'm going to put my needle down because I want to cut this thread off. And anytime you do that, you definitely want that needle to be in the fabric and keep one hand firmly on the template. Okay, so there. Now, if this were a doll, that would make perfect hair. Okay, I'm gonna just switch these around a little bit so I don't get mixed up. Now that was my 2.5, right? No, that was my 3.5. Now I'm using my 4.5. And I'm going to basically repeat. Now this is going to make an awesome border treatment. If you have a real wide border, you can stagger this direction with coming up from the bottom down. You would want them further apart, but that also would look really cool. Okay, and here we go. There we come back to center. You notice we did the same thing twice. Okay. And now I'm going to take my 6.5. So this was my 3.5. This is my 4.5. And now I'm going to use my 6.5. Could I use the 5.5? Absolutely. We can use any one we want. It's entirely up to us. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and come out. And I'm going to come around and stop on my vertical center with my needle down. Now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to flip my template, lining it back up again, making sure that we've got it aligned properly. And now we're going to just continue around. Take your time. It's not a race. Awesome. So this is my pretend seam line, and I am going to now use my 12-inch arc or your sash Lee. This would be a great place to use your sash Lee ruler. And I have spaced these 3 inches apart. If I were to put one going one coming up from the bottom, one down from the top. I would probably go 5 inches apart on them, okay? Okay, so Jennifer, hi from Missouri. Parsha is here from Iowa. Ca Good to have you with us. So Linda J asked a hi, Jean. Linda J asked a real good question. Whoops, wrong one. I wanted to be here. Linda J asked, how did you determine how to space the crosshair marks apart? Okay, this is how I determined it. Let me pull this up. I drew it out first. Okay. And I took my templates and I kind of just laid them on here. Um, was it an arbitrary figure? Yeah, it really was. Because what I did was with these 3 inches apart, I drew a line up here and tried to bring the design down from the top, and on 3 inches, it didn't fit. So I'm thinking I would need at least 1, but I would put in 2 more inches between them, okay? Debbie says she wonders where she can use this. I have a Zoom class going on right now, and it is all about borders. So Debbie, yes, you can definitely use this in our class. Oh goodness, need that caffeine in the morning. What can I say? All righty. So here we go. I'm just going to use my spacing gauge. I'm going to flip myself back down a little bit so you can see better. There we go. Thank you, Marcia. I appreciate that. Thank you, Susie. Linda J loves this, and you are quite welcome for the explanation anytime. Again, I tell you guys, and I'm serious about it. If you have questions, don't be afraid to call me, text me, email me. And so now I'm going to go 3 inches apart, and we're going to do our second one. And you saw just how easy that is. Now I can come in and do it with the center one first if I wish. And we're going to come around. And we're going to stop in the center. Flip our template. Line ourselves back up. Really, really important to make sure we're lined up just right. You can always use your spacing gauge and just use it to come in and fudge a little bit if you need to. Whoops, stepped a little hard on my foot there. And back down to the center. Now, the reason I like doing it this way is that I'm not crazy about having one rotation with double stitching lines and the other ones with single stitching lines. I do believe in consistency. Okay, here we go. And we're going to come around. And this time we're just going to do a regular curly Q. Nothing fancy about it. Come down, flip it over, come up this side, and I really think that this is a great way to end the quilt binding, or the borders, I'm sorry. I just really think it's pretty. It's it can be used for a woman or a man. It's not really feminine and it's not really masculine. Okay, and one more, we're gonna flip over. There we go. And back down. Now I'm going to pretend I'm using my Sashly or my 12-inch arc. And we're just going to stitch in the seam to our next mark. And quite honestly, I think this design goes very quickly too. I really think you can get it done with a minimum amount of time. And with that said, I still would like to see you remember to not try to stitch real fast. I mean, if you do and that works for you, that's fine. I'm a slow stitcher. And I find sometimes stitching fast causes things like skip stitches, etc. So this is what the border design is going to look like. Okay. Um, Linda, where did that go? There it is. I left your comment up. I'm so sorry. Okay, it looks like everybody likes these designs. Hi, Mom and Pop Quilt Shop from Nova Scotia. So good to have you back. And Jan says, I do so many borders only on a wool project. And you have been planning this one for the border class. That's awesome, Jan. I am so glad to hear it. Hugh Smith is here, and thank you so much for loving my videos from Ontario. Jean, it's okay to arrive late. We will have these recorded and you will get to see them again. And Di, yes, you definitely need more curly cues. Oh, awesome. Well, I hope that I've given you some ideas with your curly cues, maybe some things you've seen before, maybe some things you haven't seen before. But what you should do with them is go ahead. Hi, Mary Lou. What you should do is go ahead and draw and play with them, and you will come up with designs of your own, which will be absolutely gorgeous. I want to thank you guys for being here. I just love you all. I can't tell you how much it means to me that you come and you meet me on Tuesday nights and Wednesday mornings. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. And again, don't be afraid to get a hold of me. Donna says she used the curly cues as curly fries on a quilt with the burger t-shirt quilt. I think that's absolutely fabulous. And you are so welcome today. So until we meet again next week, and next week we're going to be working with hearts. So we will see you then. If you've got your hearts, go ahead and get them out, and you can play right along with me, okay? And until then, let's quilt.